Hey everybody! I haven't jumped on here because I've been having bad hair days. I'm growing my hair out and it looks terrible. But I've been reading a book called The Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if any of you have read it, but it was hard to get into in the beginning. I kind of put it off, stuck it in my queue and my Audible. And then yesterday I read it at my dialysis because I don't have anything else to do but read books all the time, which is good because I'm, making myself a better person. But I was so blown away by how life transforming it is. So I want to get on here and tell you it's a really important thing to read because I find that a lot of times, like I'm going to use my personal life as an example. I'm not going to say all you are doing it, but most of us do it. Is we live in the past or we live in the future. We worry about what's coming or we kind of mourn the loss or, beat ourselves up, have regrets, of the past. And what I wanted to get on here and say is how important it is to stay in the present moment. That's where reality is. Every moment of your life is happening right now. And the quality of your now is your ability to not be looking into the future and worrying about what's coming and not be in the past and have regrets over what you've done or unforgiveness of people that have hurt you. It gets your mind stuck in like this really weird place. Like you don't live in the past and you don't live in the future. You live right now. And when we don't live right now, we miss right now and we don't have the quality of the now and how important the now is. Our relationships with people, what our focus is on, and we lose it. Now, I want to tell you something I don't think you've really thought about, but I'm going to blow your mind right now. Did you know that time doesn't really exist? If you were to talk to an alien from another planet and said, how much time did it take for you to get here? They'd look at you and go, what? There's no time. Time only exists on Earth because we go around the sun. Think about it. That's our time. Does it really exist? No. It doesn't. And what all the metaphysical people are saying is everything's happening right now. So if you think about that in a quantum universe, it kind of tweaks your melon to think there's parallel universes and everything's right now and everything exists right now. And it's like, what? It kind of like, what? It flips me out, okay? I'm heavily invested and involved in all this information. And my little earthly brain that lives on a chronological timeline, and, I've always, what day of the week is it? How many hours do I have to go? We live in that place all the time. What date is it? I can't believe the year's flying by that quick. These are conversations we have with each other. And it's hard for us to step out of that paradigm and go, wow, nothing really, there's no time. So, I don't know, it's hard to wrap your brain around it, but it's actually kind of freeing when you think about it. That I used to tell myself, because I was always rushing and trying to get stuff done. I'm like, I'm running out of time. And I'd have this like anxiety about it. Like, I'm late. That was always my anxiety about my life and getting my book done. And, if I painted enough, dialysis taking 3 hours a day, stressing me out, and all these things about time, right? And then I've been listening to this stuff about time and how it doesn't really exist, and I'm like, so I literally have given myself a mind trip about running out of time over nothing. Like, you are where you are, and it's perfect timing all the time. And so that's what I've been trying to tell myself when I'm getting stressed about time. Now I tell myself, you're in perfect time. Where you are is exactly where you need to be, and you're right on time. And I tell myself that all the time because I'm tired of the anxiety. I'm tired of feeling like I'm behind or I'm late or, that's a trip. That's a total trip to think, I don't have enough time and I'm late and I should have done this yesterday. And, all these things we do to ourselves when I don't know where it comes from. It might come from your childhood, if a parent was really about, getting stuff done and you were not getting it done in time or whatever, but you start getting this trip about time and being hard on yourself about it. So I just want to get on here and tell you that read that book because it'll change the quality of your life. You'll have a different perspective about where you put your mind all the time. You'll start doing like a little introspective yourself and analyzing your thoughts. It's like, where are you? Are you in the future? Are you worrying about money that's coming that's going to pay for the cat just cost me $250 because my neighbor was so sweet and took her to the vet, got her rabies shots and all this stuff for her skin. She's having mites and stuff. And then he tells me $250. I don't have that money. I'm like, oh my God, where am I going to get the money? But one of the things I'm working on, because we are in the Lions portal, everybody. Are you familiar with the Lions Gate? From the 1st to the 12th, the first part of August, comes around once a year. We get really in, there's a portal to the sun. It's a great time to manifest. So I wrote down 2 affirmations today that I am grateful for my health and my healing and the abundance in my life, and that I'm a magnet for abundance. Those 2 affirmations, I'm going to have my caregiver print them out real big and stick them to my wall. And I'm going to look at every day. But here is the magic about affirmations and manifesting that I'm learning. Okay, I'm going to teach you. When you say the affirmation, I want you to believe it. It's already here. The wealth's already coming. You're a magnet for it. It's in your life. Your health already here. Thank you, universe, source, God, for facilitating, because we are co-creators. So we are actually healing ourselves, but we are asking a higher, the creator, to come into our life and assist us in that endeavor, right? So, but you got to see it, you got to feel it, you got to believe it. And when you put the feeling with the belief and the thought and the intention, woo, magic happens. So I was just informed today, and I wanted to let you know this, that my urologist down at Baylor St. Luke's is going to pull my left kidney out on the 9th of September. Now, what I went into my numerology brain and said, oh my God, that's a 999, because 2025 is a 9. So it's not, September's the 9th day, and the year's 9. So I'm like, oh my God, that's an angel number. So I'm like going to go look it up. What does 999 mean? You guys probably know. I don't know if you're familiar with the numerology and angel numbers, but any 111, 222, 333, any of those progressive numbers, those are all angel numbers. So I'm thinking that's a pretty magical date, and kind of grateful that it's happening on a magical date, because I pulled my tarot cards the other day. I don't know if you're into tarot cards, but basically they're timeless. No one even knows where they came from. I don't know if you're familiar with Egyptian mythology, but Thoth, he was an Atlantean being, pretty immortal. Basically, he would download his consciousness into a new body that he would grow. And that happened a lot back then, because they would clone people all the time. But so he wasn't really immortal, but he was able to download his consciousness into a new body when the old one wore out. So he looked like he was immortal, but he spread wisdom around the planet. He helped build the pyramids. He was, at the head of an ibis. Basically, he did not in reality have a head of an ibis. That was the way they did hieroglyphs to show that he was the wisdom keeper, because they figured the ibis, they are in the papyrus in the marshlands, and they would make paper out of those weeds, and paper is something you write on to create knowledge. So they gave him the head of an ibis. But yeah, he was very instrumental in keeping us progressing through the cataclysm of the flood that Enlil did, and Enlil wanted to destroy us all because he was jealous of us. Do you know anything about Sumerian gods, Enki and Enlil? Because they basically were our foundational gods of the Bible. They're all over the Bible. Oh my God. If you really understood what they were saying, because a lot of the Bible's a parable, and so it's really hard to understand. And when they talk about the gods saw the daughters of men and made the Nephilim, they're talking about the Anunnaki having sex with human women, and giving birth to giants. And the giants roamed the earth. And they were redheaded and fair skinned. I saw a thing on TikTok the other day of a dude who's African, and he was trying to say that Enlil and Enki were dark skinned. I'm like, no. When you know your mythology and you study this stuff, you learn what they look like, where they spread, the knowledge. They had so many, like, the ability, you know, a magician is a person that can manipulate the earth energies and basically create. So we called them gods, almost, the magicians, because they had godlike powers. I mean, if you're going to make a pyramid, that's pretty godly, I'd say. Picking up those heavy blocks and the construction and the intro. They had like chambers underneath and tunnels that connected, and high technology we never had on this planet, ever. They landed here. They gave us rule of law. They gave us indoor plumbing, sewage, paved roads. They did all that like 250,000 years ago, and they want to say the pyramids are 4,000 years old, and I just laugh. I go, are you smoking crack? Come on, man. These people, or I should say gods, or whatever they were, star beings, had given us high technology 250,000 years ago. They meshed with our DNA and created Homo sapiens sapiens, because they needed workers, of course. You know, they come down here to mine their gold to save their planet, and they go, God, this hard work. So they created workers. Hello, here we are, workers, to mine the gold. And there's a lot of debate on whether Nibiru comes around every 3,000 years, and it should be coming close again, and it causes a lot of cataclysms again. But we're in a big transformation right now. That's why the earthquakes and the volcanoes are erupting all over the place. The flooding. Have you seen this year, 2025? Oh my God. I've seen at least 30 countries get hit with floods. In the United States, how many floods do we have? It's been crazy off the charts. I've never seen this kind of weather before. So this is the kind of stuff that happens when Nibiru gets close. And Nibiru is the planet of the Anunnaki. And everyone's talking about Anunnaki are coming back. Well, we're not the same anymore. They haven't been here for thousands of years. They said they were coming back. If they're coming back, they're going to have to stay kind of out of sight, because I don't think the planet's ready to see these people again. Maybe back when we were primitive, we would bow down and worship them like we do in the Bible. And Lil is Yahweh, you know, and he's like, worship me, do animal sacrifices, bleed your own people. That's what he did in Central America. Kill all the people, you know. He didn't like us, so he wanted our demise. And Enki was the one that, with his female partner, starts with an N, not really good with names, she and him tweaked our DNA. If you look at chromosome 2, they actually infused it and gave us compassion and really tweaked us to make us better people. But he loved us. We were his babies. And when Enlil wanted to flood the earth because they wanted to kill all the Nephilim because they were inferior, he didn't like us to begin with. He basically caused the flood. So Enki went and told Noah, and I mean more than Noah. Noah is only one guy. You're talking about Darren Kuyu in Turkey. All 20,000 people can fit underground. China had the Yangshan Quarry, and near it, I forget the name of the underground city they had. And the ant people took the Hopis down under the ground. Don't know if they're real ants or not, but that's what they call them. But we have multiple places all over the planet that had underground facilities to take the people in to save them from this flood. So when you want to talk, the Bible has the truth. The Bible gives you half the story. It doesn't tell you the full story. Like when I do my Bible study, I like to ask the ladies, because they're all Bible thumpers, and I said, well, where was Jesus for those 17 years? All you talk about is his birth and his death. Where was he in the meantime? You know what they told me? He was a carpenter. I'm like, and then they said he was born with the divine knowledge. I'm sorry, but he was human. And humans aren't just born with knowledge. They have to study with teachers. And even in the Bible, he was staying back in Jerusalem. His parents had gone on, and he stayed to listen to the priests. He was studying. So my knowledge, because if you read the Nag Hammadi text and the Gnostic text, they talk about his life. They said Jesus went to India, studied with Buddha. There you go, with all the knowledge he had. Buddha was highly enlightened and came long before Jesus. So Jesus studied with him. Then he studied with the Sufis, which was a mystical Islamic sect. They were also very intelligent with the higher knowledge. And then I heard that his uncle had a tin mine in southern England. So he went up there and studied with the Druids, the people that knew magic. So he was highly knowledgeable. Oh, not to mention, he was brought up in Egypt. So he was doing living resurrection ceremonies in temples, going through the pyramids and learning all the ancient technology of the Atlanteans, because Egypt was like a sub-city of Atlantis. A lot of the Atlanteans that had to flee their country went to Egypt. That's why they had that high technology. So he was full of information about high technology and another way of looking at things. He didn't come here to make a religion. He didn't come here to be worshipped. He even says it in the Bible. God is within you. I will show you the way. He didn't want us building churches and worshiping him. He wanted us to hear what he said. And then in the Power of Now, that's why I'm encouraging you to read it. He talks about, Eckhart Tolle talks about the true message of Jesus and how he spoke in parables, and how what he was really saying was higher knowledge, getting us to think outside the box, living in the now, forgive those who trespass against you. All these high ideals that this book is talking about, Jesus talked about. And he said, they totally created a religion politically in Constantinople under what's his name? Constantine, Council of Nicaea. They all voted certain books out. Why'd they knock the book of Enoch out? Because Enoch went up in the spaceship, saw Earth from below, and lived very, very long time. He might have been immortal, but they weren't comfortable with that idea. And there's been so many healers in history. They don't want to acknowledge it. They don't even talk about Thomas, his brother. He has his own gospel. They cut that out of the Bible. They made Mary Magdalene a prostitute when she was one of his favorite apostles. Mary Magdalene could understand what Jesus was saying and what he was teaching. That's why they made her a prostitute and diminished her and said she had 7 demons, when that was really talking about Jesus clearing her 7 chakras. There's a whole alternative view of what the Bible's really saying versus what really happened. And that's why I encourage everybody to look outside of the Bible. And the women that come to my house and argue with me all the time, they're so fit to be tied with my point of view, because they literally live and die by what the words say in the Bible. And I tried telling them the other day, you can't read the Bible literally, because the parable of his birth and his death are talking about higher knowledge. It's not literally talking about what they say in words. They're like painting a picture of higher knowledge, and you got to understand where they're coming from. And then you get the true version of what the Bible's really trying to say. So I just have a real hard time with this man-made religion, and they're trying to tell us what the truth is, and what you got to find your own truth. That's all I got to say. Let me tell you something. I have been on a quest for metaphysical studies probably pretty much my whole life. I grew up a Unitarian, very liberal, very tolerant, very outside the box thinking. And that put me on a quest in my life, because my parents were kind of weird like that, to seek higher knowledge. So when I'm reading the Bible, I'm like, I don't know, something wasn't hitting my gut right. You got to trust your gut. And then Eckhart Tolle the other day told me yesterday, I'm reading, and he said, well, basically the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John didn't understand Jesus. They didn't understand what he was saying. So when you read their version of Jesus, you get kind of a half understanding, you don't really get the full view. And these women that come to my house, they're like, this is the truth. You must read this and believe it. And I'm like, but there's more going on here than just what the Bible's saying. Bible gives you like a little tiny bit of information, and then they stand on these really large, huge concepts that you're supposed to ingest, just believe it, and not ever ask any questions. So when I'm asking questions, you should see these women. They're like not happy at all. They're looking at me like, where are you getting this information? Why do you believe that? And then they go so far because the Bible's covering itself, you see. Listen to what they say. The Bible warns people of looking outside of the Bible for more information, that somehow that's unacceptable. They don't want you. Why do you think they made the snake in the garden and condemning the female who was eating the apple to get more wisdom? How dare her want to be smarter? How dare her want to think outside the box? It's all bullshit. The serpent was Enki, and he was trying to give us knowledge. He was a teacher. They basically created Christianity. Jesus was a teacher, by the way, but so was Osiris in Egypt, so was Enki. It's a long lineage of enlightened beings coming here to teach us what the real truth was. And what did we do every time they came? Enlil did. Enlil killed them all, because he doesn't want us to know the truth. He doesn't want us to know our true power. He doesn't want it because we're not controllable. Think about it. Why was religion created? To control us. Why do we have to go through a priest to talk to God or Jesus? When it's all deep inside of us. Even Jesus said that. God is inside you. So why do we need a church? So that's why the church doesn't want you looking outside their Bible, because then they've lost control of the narrative. You see? If you go in your life and you look at the wars, or you look at the control structure, and you ask, why? Follow the money. Do you know that Pope Leo X said the fable of Jesus is really good for our company's business profits? And then the church had to do major work to make sure everybody knew, oh, he didn't really mean that. Oh, he really didn't say that. Because if you look up on Google, and I did the other day, did Pope Leo X say that Jesus was a fable and that it was good for the company's business? They'll say, oh, that was satire. Oh no, he didn't really say that. You know, they like try to backtrack it. Man, whatever. You know what Pope Leo did? I'm gonna tell you some stuff that's gonna blow your mind. Did you know the Shroud of Turin, which they said was the emanation of Jesus turning into light and leaving the imprint on the cloth? Did you know the truth? Oh my God, I freaked when I heard this. Leonardo da Vinci he was commissioned by Pope Leo X, here you go, this dude again, right? To create a miracle because the church was losing its power over the people. This is the 1500s, by the way. People were getting smart already. Create a miracle for us, and we'll not destroy Galileo and Copernicus. We'll leave them alone. That's the whole deal. Leonardo wanted them to stop harassing the scientists and burning them at the stake. Because the scientists were like, no, the earth goes around the sun, and you're making up a religion based on lies. And so they were fried at the stake because, you know, the church had to keep control. I mean, they'd killed 80 million people. 80 million. They murdered the Cathars because the Cathars were teaching true Jesus teachings. They were actually founded by Mary Magdalene and possibly Jesus, because if you read the Gnostic texts, the Gnostics say he really didn't get crucified. It was, once again, a allegory of what our life path, what we do. We live, we grow, we gain knowledge, and then we're crucified. That's a whole different topic, but and have you felt crucified in your life? I have. You know what I mean? So it was an allegory to how the human existence is. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, but once you understand the Catholic Church and all the control and how terrified everybody was because they were doing the Inquisition, they killed 80 million people. And that includes all the indigenous people that didn't want to convert to Catholicism when they came over. So that's a lot of people. That's more than any dictator. That's more than any war. I mean, how sad is that? A religion based on love killed 80 million people? Like, are you, got me tripping. But anyway, so Leonardo, he tells some German lens makers, hey, I need a special lens I'm creating. It was the first photograph. The Shroud of Turin is the first photograph. He took a cadaver because it doesn't move and it was a long exposure time for the lens and the camera because it was, first camera. And so it took a long time and he didn't want anybody to move to do the developing of this shroud and burn the image into it. And then when you see the crease across the neck, I dare you to check it out. He kept it there because he basically put his own head on the cadaver. He did a separate photo of himself. So when you look at the Shroud of Turin, it's Leonardo's face. I just think it's funny because the Catholic Church thinks they're so big and bad, but then you see what the Knights Templar did. They were working underneath them and dug up all the treasures and kept them safe. Even when they were burnt at the stake, they got all the treasures out of France and moved up to Scotland and came over to North America, made friends with the Indians, buried them all over the country. But Christopher Columbus put red freaking crosses, just like the Templars cross. Look it up. Remember, the Knights Templar have a white tunic with a red cross on it. So Columbus already knew that. Columbus knew the Templars had come over to North America, so what did he do? He put red crosses on his sails so that when he came up to the shores, he knew the Native Americans would go, oh, that's our blood brothers, and be kind to them, right? But here's the part you didn't know. When Columbus came to meet the leaders and ask about the treasures that were buried, he didn't know the special handshake. There's a special handshake in the Knights Templar, the Masons, Freemasons knew it, the Indians knew it. So this is ancient technology from Atlantis. The Red Cross comes from Atlantis, by the way. It was called the Grail. Isn't that funny? Holy Grail. It's in the Red Cross. Oh my God. I've learned so much. I wanted to share it with you because this is way outside the box and no one's ever going to tell you this stuff. But I was eating it up. Because I've been listening to this information for a while, but I just haven't done a video about it. But okay, so treasures are buried all over North America from the ancient Holy Grail, John the Baptist's head, relics, and treasure, like ancient treasure. But guess what? The Knights Templar saw North America. They married into the Indians. They put a land claim in Wisconsin with the Kensington Runestone. That was them. Very old. They say it's a hoax, but they don't know what they're talking about. And fascinating stuff, you guys. And so they made a land claim long before Columbus ever came. Columbus never even reached North America. He was in the Caribbean. He's a dumbass. Anyway, why we celebrate him, I'll never know. It's all political. It's all political. This whole world is political. We're given half-truths about everything. We can go through school and get this dumb information, lie upon lie upon lie, just to keep us dumb. And so then, right now, the Enlightenment's here. The consciousness is raising. The false narratives are falling apart. The government's falling apart. The Democrats are going under because they have been stealing from us for years. And here we are with things getting uncovered and we're learning the truth and people are blown away at what is really real, what is really the truth. Where did all this stuff come from and why, as a conspiracy theorist that I am, because the powers that be don't want us to have this information. They don't want us to know that we were genetically altered by star people called the Anunnaki. Anunnaki just means comes from the stars. So it could have been a Pleiadian. It could have been Andromedan. See, Andromedans, after the flood, the earth was like, the water was going crazy. Everything was destabilized. And they wanted a stable place to build a place for the humankind because we're kind of a pet. It's kind of like a little zoo down here. Like they've tried to save us so many times and keep our race going and replanted us every time we have a cataclysm. But they gave us the moon 12,000 years ago to stabilize our waters. There's texts from the ancients, like indigenous people, that talk about the time before the moon. So it wasn't always here. And it wasn't built from a chunk of earth. It's the only perfectly round moon satellite in the universe. And it's too big for our gravitational force to keep it here. So it's got little engines in it, and we're down to 3 now, so it's kind of drifting. They're going to have to fix that because if it goes away, we all die. I mean, we can't survive without the moon. We're really dependent on that seasonal cycle, although that's the precession. But the waters being under control, that's what the moon does. The moon controls the tides and everything. And look at the tidal waves from these earthquakes. I mean, what's going on right now? It's some big stuff. Big stuff's happening. But anyway, I wanted to tell you that the flood, they go, where'd the water come from? Well, there was a planet, do you know our asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter? Well, that asteroid belt was a planet. And the Orions and the, I want to say it was the Galactic Council. The Galactic Council is made up of a bunch of different races, like Pleiadians are the main ones. And Andromedans, they're the ones that asked them to make the moon for us to stabilize the planet. But there's been a war. There was a war going on. Well, I don't know who did it, but somebody blew up that planet. They call it Tiamat and Phaeton. There's a bunch of different names for it. Marduk. There's like 3 or 4 different names for it. But anyway, it was a big watery planet. Well, where the water came here. That's where the water came from that flooded the earth. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I eat up. I literally live to learn about knowledge that's not found anywhere around here. And there are scholars that read Gnostic texts that are channeling Pleiadians. Have you seen Bashar on YouTube? Oh my God, this guy's so full of knowledge. And he's an alien coming through a man. Because they can't come here. We're kind of quarantined and people are kind of like freaked out about aliens. So they have to come and channel through people to bring their messages of higher understanding to us so that if a human is just channeling an alien, we're more apt to listen. But, and I think it's fascinating. There's so many channelers. Get the Gaia channel because Open Minds, she has a bunch of channelers. And they're always saying kind of the same thing, you know, like we've already won. The light's already won. The darkness cannot survive. We're going into a new Earth, which means it's a higher frequency. It's actually not an actual planet, I don't think. But the low frequencies are dying off, being uncovered, being exposed. And so a new day is coming where we're creating, and with our minds and our consciousness, in our prayers and our intentions every day, asking for kind of a utopian world where we actually teach our children actual knowledge and make them smart instead of sticking lead in their food and dumbing them down with this idiocracy educational system that we got. I mean, it's just pathetic the way that we treat our children, and no wonder they're bored with school. But did you know that most all the school shootings are kids that are on antidepressants? Yeah. The pharmaceuticals are feeding our kids antidepressants that make them suicidal and make them violent. Yeah, good times. Yeah, we're the more that people know this stuff, the more that you can see through the narrative that the media is trying to sell us. Gun control, gun control, gun control. What? We have gun control. It's not preventing the criminals from getting guns and going into a school and shooting it up. So I'm all for security guards and, I don't know about arming teachers so much, but definitely having someone with a trained hand to be around that school. We protect our celebrities and politicians better than we do our children. What's up with that? But, I'm on my soapbox today. I'm in a mood. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to explode if I don't speak about this stuff because I mean, there's just complete idiocracy going on in the world, and people don't really know the truth that the pharmaceuticals were created from World War II after they did experiments on the Jews and were injecting them with all this medicine that they could watch how slowly they die, or you know what I mean? Like, they want us sick. That's what the hospital systems, our whole healthcare system is sick health. So I have found Vital Health. I'm doing nutritional supplements based on plants, vitamins, nutrients, herbs. And let me just tell you something. I'm supposed to be in the hospital right now because I have like going on 4-month-old stints. The last time that happened, nausea, vomiting in the hospital, right? Well, I've been a little nauseous. I've wanted to throw up, but I haven't. I'm staying out of the hospital for now. But I attribute it to the dialysis and the Vital Health because I would not be awake enough to do this video right now if I wasn't doing my healthcare routine. And if you want to know more about Vital Health, email me, Katy Hayes, Hayes, ART @gmail.com, and I will hook you up with all the knowledge of all the products that we got. We got liver cleanses, kidney cleanses, high antioxidants, nitric oxide that puts oxygen in your cells. No cancer can live in an oxygenated environment. We're really a badass company that is turning people's health around. We have a guy who's on dialysis. He's no longer on dialysis, taking our kidney supplement. I was hoping that would happen to me, but I've got septic stones in my kidneys, so I got to take them out because they don't have any products for stone removal, you know, and so I'm kind of stuck with my path. But I want to help people. Like, if you got diabetes, we got a sugar balancer. If you're overweight, we have a weight control coffee, and we got a lot of coffees. One's a hormone balancer. One's a Focus with mushrooms. The Neuro Cafe, really good for people with ADHD. My Love Cafe is about to run out, so I'm gonna try the Neuro Cafe because sometimes I get a little bit squirrely, like it's hard for me to stay focused sometimes. I don't need Thermal Cafe. I'm like 90 pounds. It's crazy. But my fat friends I'm going to be giving them up my coffee because I want them to see the results, because they're, you know, when you're overweight like that, you're not really having an optimal life, you know, so I want to help them out. But that's what this company is based on, is service to others, making everybody else healthy, getting them out of a disease state into health. Forget all these pharmaceuticals and all that. It gets people off pharmaceuticals, which I'm really proud about because I really think pharmaceuticals are just basically poison. But that's our sick care system, and everybody's bought into it. And I don't even take Tylenol anymore. There's a product called Vitadol, and it's for pain relief. And I mean, all these products have like probiotics, amino acids, and they're just trying to build up your system so that you can withstand, get your immune system strong and withstand anything coming at you, you know? So I'm just really proud of it, really excited about it. I just want to share it with you because I really want the whole world to get on this product. Because, I mean, if you had the cure for cancer, wouldn't you give your friend that has cancer? So that's how I feel about Vital Health. Like, this stuff is spot on, badass, making waves. We have testimonials that'll blow your mind, you know? So that's my little blurb about that. But I wanted to let you know that when you seek knowledge and the truth, that you're going to really uncover some fascinating stuff. And Gaia Channel, it's $120. They just raised their rate. Kind of bummed me out because it was only $100 before. But I'm telling you, it's worth every penny. The amount of information that I get from them, the amount of experts and scholarly people that are studying, like Freddie Silva. Love that man. This guy goes to Harvard and looks at books that they don't allow anybody to see. Somehow he got in there. That's how he was able to uncover some secret information they don't put out to everybody. And when you listen to him, you're like, oh my God, we've been lied to. You know, his information will blow your mind. And the Knights Templar series, blow your mind. I mean, I have given you a nutshell, little tiny nutshell of what they were about. So I didn't tell you that another thing the religious people are going to hate, that Jesus married Mary Magdalene, It's actually in the Bible when he turned the water into wine at the wedding. That was him. That was his wedding. But see, the Bible, it flies in the face of their narrative, right? They want him to be celibate. They want him to be single. And they didn't want the world to know that he had 2 children with her, Judah and Sarah. And that's what the Knights Templar were put together for, not only digging up treasure and all that, but they realized because the church killed all the Cathars, which is what Jesus was there teaching those people. They were true Christians. But the church found them to be not going by their rules, so they had to murder them all, because they can't muddy the water. They got to clean that water up and kill all the people that are talking about stuff that they don't agree with. That's the way it's been through history, by the way. I mean, who's got the truth? Somebody that murders everybody? I don't think so, right? And so anyway, the Knights Templar were put together to protect the children of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Hopefully she lived to a nice old age. They built all the cathedrals in Europe. If you ever go to the cathedral, Notre Dame, they've got them all over Europe. Those cathedrals were dedicated to John the Baptist and Mary Magdalene. Now, why is that? Don't you find that a little interesting? And whenever I tell my religious friends, they just say, that's a lie. That's not true. It's not in the Bible. So if it's not in the Bible, it's not true. And see, there's a problem with that. Because if you put together a book that's politically based and you say, this is the only truth, that's a little fishy to me. It seems to me you're hiding something. That's my first gut reaction to that whole thing. So you got to look outside the box. You got to look at, what are other people saying? What are the scholars that are digging up the Dead Sea Scrolls and reading the Gospels that they didn't allow in, like the Gospel of Philip, Gospel of Enoch, Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and there's a Gospel of Jesus. All of it's in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I think the Nag Hammadi texts are the same thing as the Dead Sea Scroll. I still need to look that up, but all of it was found at the same time, and I don't know. But anyway, do your research, get the Gaia channel, get smart, and I will see you another time because I feel like I'm talking your ear off, but I get excited about this information because it's so outside the box thinking. And people need to start understanding that we have been hoodwinked and lied to create a false narrative so that they could have good business. That's disgusting. It really is when you think about it. But anyway, I love you all. Mwah. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate everybody that subscribes to me and keeps me enlightened on my path and bringing you new information all the time and trying to spur you into doing some research and study so you can understand where I'm coming from, because fascinating. Anyway, mwah, another time. See ya.